Some movies improve with age, not because they've changed, but because the conversation around them eventually does. Ghost Rider is one of those films. For years, it was dismissed by larger audiences as yet another forgettable mid-2000s superhero movie, overshadowed by better movies and changing audience expectations. But coming back to it today, it is surprisingly difficult not to appreciate what it does get right. Beneath their rather dated filmmaking and undeniably cheesy script is a film bursting with personality, commitment, and an oddly irresistible sense of fun. Nicolas Cage is unsurprisingly the biggest reason for that. His performance is completely sincere, fully embracing the absurdity of Ghost Rider instead of trying to ground him, and that commitment gives this entire film a charm that's difficult to replicate. Even when the dialogue veers into peak 2000s melodrama, Cage never feels embarrassed to be there. Alongside him, Sam Elliott is an absolute treat as always, bringing a quiet confidence and gravitas whenever he appears. Visually, the film also holds up better than most people give it credit for. Ghost Rider's flaming skull still looks remarkably convincing, and the motorcycle transformation sequence is every bit as satisfying as it was back in 2007. That doesn't mean Ghost Rider is secretly a misunderstood masterpiece, and I will never claim it to be as such. The supporting cast often leans heavily into that unmistakable brand of 2000s blockbuster acting, when nearly every line is delivered with just a little bit too much melodrama, making some scenes unintentionally funny. The humor is also a bit of a mixed bag, with several jokes feeling very much of their era and a few moments that lean a little too hard into Nicolas Cage's eccentric persona rather than letting it emerge naturally throughout. And I won't lie, I personally cringed when I saw Rebel Wilson of all actresses appear in this film, because that's exactly what she is to me and always will be. Cringe. But despite all of that, or perhaps because of it, Ghost Rider possesses an identity that's become increasingly rare in modern superhero films. It's weird, unapologetically sincere, visually distinctive, and completely comfortable being its own thing. And that's exactly why I think Ghost Rider is far better than most people remember. The mid-2000s were a fascinating time for comic book movies. Long before interconnected cinematic universes became the norm as they are today, studios were still experimenting with how faithfully they should adapt these larger-than-life characters. Some leaned into comic book panel-inspired cinematography, others focused on capturing the spirit of their characters, while some simply felt like Hollywood saw a recognizable comic book name, attached a major star, and hoped that would be enough. Ghost Rider falls firmly into that latter category. It isn't interested in grounding its premise, or making audiences question whether a man with a flaming skull could exist. Instead, it asks viewers to accept a supernatural bounty hunter who rides a hellfire-infused motorcycle, battles demons with enchanted chains, and transforms beneath the light of the sun, all while telling a surprisingly sincere story about love, guilt, and redemption. It is an undeniably bizarre combination of ideas, yet rather than collapsing under their own weight, they come together to create something that's consistently entertaining. The film isn't successful because every individual piece works perfectly. They work because it never loses confidence in the world it's trying to create. That confidence is what gives this film its unique personality. Modern superhero movies often feel designed to appeal to everyone, smoothing away anything that might seem too weird or unconventional in favor of broad appeal. Ghost Rider comes from a very different kind of era, one where studios were still experimenting with comic book adaptations and weren't afraid to let them have their own identity, even if that meant taking creative risks that wouldn't always land. The movie never seems embarrassed by its supernatural premise or gothic imagery, from chains engulfed in flames to hellfire-infused motorcycles and demonic transformations. Every major set piece commits completely to the concept without constantly undercutting itself with self-aware jabs or jokes. That sincerity makes a huge difference, because the audience is invited to simply enjoy the spectacle rather than being told not to take any of it seriously. The result is a film that's undeniably cheesy at times, but in a way that feels genuine rather than manufactured, allowing its strange ideas to become part of its appeal instead of something that needs to be hidden. Perhaps the biggest reason the film remains enjoyable today is that every element feels like it's working towards the same goal, delivering an unforgettable comic book fantasy. The pacing rarely lingers for too long, the supernatural action is consistently entertaining for 2007, and even when the dialogue becomes melodramatic or the visual effects show their age, those imperfections only add to the film's identity. rather than detracting from the experience. They become part of what makes revisiting Ghost Rider so much fun. It's a movie that's easy to smile through because it possesses a level of enthusiasm that's difficult to fake. Everyone involved seemed committed to bringing these bizarre characters to life, and that passion shines through even when individual scenes don't quite hit the mark. It's an unusual balance that very few films manage to achieve. Ghost Rider may not be a masterpiece like Spider-Man 2, but it understands exactly what kind of film it wants to be, and by embracing that identity instead of running from it, it earns a level of charm that's difficult to replicate. If there's one reason Ghost Rider continues to find new audiences, it's the casting of Nicolas Cage. Long before superhero films became carefully curated and calculated franchise starters, Cage brought something completely different to the genre. He wasn't trying to play Johnny Blaze as a conventional action hero or an effortlessly cool leading man. Instead, he leaned into the character's emotional conflict, portraying Blaze as someone constantly burdened by the consequences of a decision he made out of love. Cage has always been an actor who's willing to commit completely, regardless of how strange the material might be, and Ghost Rider gives him plenty of opportunities to do exactly that. Whether he's quietly reflecting on his cursed existence, or fully embracing the over-the-top spectacle of transforming into the spirit of vengeance, he never feels like he's holding back. That complete commitment becomes infectious because the audience quickly realizes that Cage believes in every scene he's performing. Even when the dialogue becomes melodramatic, or the situations become increasingly ridiculous, his sincerity prevents the film from descending into parody. Instead of laughing at the movie, viewers like myself often find themselves laughing with it, appreciating just how much enthusiasm Cage brings to every moment. That unpredictability has become one of Nick Cage's defining qualities as an actor, and Ghost Rider might be one of the clearest examples of why he's remained such a fascinating screen presence for decades. Cage has never been afraid of making bold acting choices, often walking a fine line between dramatic intensity and complete eccentricity, yet that is precisely what makes him such a natural fit for a character like Johnny Blaze. A more restrained performance might have made him feel safer, but it also would have stripped away much of its personality. Cage gives Blaze an awkward charm that's difficult to describe, but incredibly easy to enjoy. He's charismatic without feeling traditionally heroic, vulnerable without appearing weak, and larger than life without ever becoming completely detached from the emotional core of the story the film's trying to tell. The result is a performance that perfectly matches the film's identity. It's strange, theatrical, and occasionally excessive, but it's never boring. In many ways, Ghost Rider succeeds because it embraces Nicolas Cage's unique strengths instead of trying to tone them down, allowing his unmistakable screen presence to become one of the film's greatest assets. Equally important, however, is Sam Elliott's performance as Carter Slade. While Cage provides the film with its chaotic kind of energy, Elliott offers the exact opposite. His calm, understated presence immediately grounds every scene he appears in, giving the audience someone who feels as though they've existed in this supernatural world long before Johnny Blaze ever became involved. Elliott has a natural gravitas that's almost impossible to fake. His unmistakable voice, weathered appearance, and effortless charisma make Carter Slade feel less like another comic book character and more like an old Western legend who's wandered into a modern superhero movie. It's a surprisingly inspired combination because Ghost Rider has always borrowed heavily from Western iconography, with its lone rider traveling across empty highways in much the same way classic cowboys once crossed the American frontier. Elliott embodies that connection perfectly, giving him and the film an unexpected layer of authenticity that makes its supernatural mythology feel far more believable than it otherwise might have. Perhaps the most enjoyable aspect of their performances is how naturally they complement each other. Nicolas Cage brings unpredictability, emotional vulnerability, and explosive fun energy, while Sam Elliott counters that with quiet confidence, wisdom, and experience. Their scenes together don't rely on lengthy action sequences or elaborate visual effects because the chemistry between the two actors is compelling enough on its own. Elliott's Carter Slade becomes the mentor Johnny Blaze desperately needs, while Cage's performance allows Blaze to remain sympathetic even as his life spirals further into darkness. It's a simple dynamic, but it's one that gives Ghost Rider much of its emotional heart. Looking back, it is difficult to imagine another pairing capturing the same balance. Cage provides the film's unforgettable personality, Elliott gives it its soul, and together they elevate material that could have easily become far less memorable in different hands. That's ultimately what makes revisiting Ghost Rider so rewarding. Beyond the flaming skulls, hellfire, and supernatural spectacle lies an unlikely partnership between two actors whose completely different styles somehow fit together rather well, giving this film a level of charm that's every bit as distinctive as Ghost Rider himself. Ghost Rider will probably never be remembered as one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, and that's perfectly okay. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking, critically acclaimed, or technically flawless to leave a lasting impression. I mean, it's not Spider-Man 2 for crying out loud, but what does make it enjoyable is its willingness to embrace everything that makes it unusual, from its gothic atmosphere and supernatural mythology to Nicolas Cage's wonderfully committed performance and Sam Elliott's effortless, charismatic presence. The film constantly chooses personality over perfection. There are moments that don't quite work, visual effects that have inevitably aged, and story beats that could have become stronger, but none of those flaws overshadow the simple fact that it is an incredibly entertaining film to revisit. In an era where so many superhero movies are designed to fit neatly into larger cinematic universes, and where Ghost Rider has now been announced to eventually fit into the MCU, Ghost Rider 2007 feels refreshingly individualist. It's messy, theatrical, occasionally ridiculous, and completely sincere, refusing to apologize for the bizarre comic book world it's bringing to life. That confidence is ultimately what gives the film its odd appeal. It may not be the definitive comic book adaptation, but it's one of the few that feels entirely comfortable being itself, and sometimes that's all a movie needs to be to make it so memorable.